This one fresh too. I ain't gonna even hold you. This just happened. So again, the proper way to use this pad. Add a little duty en la agua. Add a little water to it. You know what I mean? Add a little water to it and look. Magic. Back in the ball game. You know, we've owned a lot of teams over, over the course of Carson Wentz being here, actually. Like, we've always owned the Giants. We've owned the Redskins. We've owned the Falcons. We've owned the Rams. I would say we've owned Minnesota. Yeah, we've owned, even though they won a game when they got Kirk Cousins. But we've owned them, bounced them out the playoffs. Basically, if we put you out of the playoffs anytime last year or this year, we've owned you. We've owned the Patriots. We've owned the Bears. I don't care. That's how I'm counting ownage. But it's one goddamn team that I feel like for some reason, these guys got the best of us. And I know what let me get this out of the way now. Oh, you see, he ain't say they've owned the Cowboys. We've split with the Cowboys. I'm going to tell you why we've owned everybody in the division. Because we're the only team in the division to win the Super Bowl as of late. So we own you. Simple. You ain't win no Super Bowl in 25 years, so you don't own anybody. Anyway, the goddamn Seattle Seahawks. They've owned us. I'm going to get this one out the way right now. It ain't even preseason. I guarantee a victory against the Seahawks this year. Not because Cam retiring and they losing the injury-prone dude, but just simply because I know what we're going to do to these guys. Point blank period. I feel like that we're going to get the job done. We're better than them. All they got is a quarterback. They just have that one position that gives us fits, and it's a mobile quarterback. But they have owned us. They've owned us, man. They've owned us. They were the only team that really beat us in our Super Bowl season, and people kind of ease off of our bandwagon, which really pissed me off. Are the Eagles for real? After the Seahawks beat us, I want us to blow the Seahawks out, actually. I don't hate the Seahawks like I hate a lot of other franchises, but I want us to blow them guys out, man. Period. Now, with coming with owning the team, first of all, you can't say you own a team. Man, it's rules to owning somebody. You can't say you own a team and you don't have no rings. You don't own anything if you don't have no rings. Oh, but we own some people. Our ownage started when it started. We own some people now. Lil Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. Excuse me. Top floor, sir. Yes. It's happened. All 5 draft picks have been signed, but we also signed 10 undrafted free agents. Howie Roseman. First they said we didn't have enough money. Then they said, how was we going to sign these draft picks? They say a lot of stuff. All they do is talk. All they do is talk about who's great. And that's us, the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, I told you guys that we already had competition on this roster. Now, these undrafted free agents that we signed come in various flavors. I'm talking about guards, another running back, a linebacker, a wide receiver. I don't know if it was a cornerback in the mix, but I'm telling you, it's a lot of flavors. Somebody is a gem. It's a gem. It's a gem. Now, I haven't heard of any of these undrafted free agents that we picked up, but boy, it's competition. You think a man that went to the draft and didn't get his name called ain't hungry? You think he ain't hungry? One of them from Penn State. I did hear one of the names, a wide receiver from Penn State. Let me come up. You know what I mean? Wide receiver from Penn State. So we're going to see what he could bring to the table. We're going to see who he is. We're going to see what's his worth. Man, Howie Roseman, man. What can you say about Howie Roseman that ain't already true? A genius, a master at getting the books right. We keep adding talent, we keep adding depth, and we keep adding competition. That's the makings for a championship roster. Talent, depth, and competition. It's the makings. There should only be one position that's set in stone when you're going into a championship season, and that is the quarterback position. And we got that. We got our franchise quarterback. Speaking of our franchise quarterback, it's very perplexing to me that people keep sending me this article of, what's his name, Jennings and Skip Bayless talking about Dak Prescott got a higher ceiling than Carson Wentz. I think it's just blasphemous to even address something like this. Listen, let me tell you something, young Dallas Cowboys fans. You cannot add passing touchdowns with rushing touchdowns and say your quarterback has this many touchdowns. We don't do it like that when you're talking about a quarterback. We talk about this. This is what counts. From the arm to the man in the end zone. From the arm to the man, then he runs to the end zone. That is a touchdown. Cam Newton got 180-something of those. 58 rushing touchdowns Cam Newton got. Listen, when you Google if you Google right now, Cam Newton's passing touchdowns, it's going to give you 180-something. We're not going to say 240. We're not going to add the 58 rushing touchdowns. That's not how you do that. So Dallas Cowboys fans, understand this. Dak Prescott does not have more touchdowns than Carson Wentz. He doesn't. Carson Wentz has more passing touchdowns than Dak Prescott, whether you want to like it or not. You can add all these stats up you want. It don't matter. Oh, and he did it in 8 fewer games. I'm going to tell you the games that got him over the hump in that stat. I'm going to tell you the games that did it. Because Greg Jennings and Shannon Sharp forgot to mention to you about this, how bad Dak Prescott was during that stretch without Ezekiel Elliott. They don't want to talk about that too much. We're not going to let that chapter of Dak's 3 full seasons, he played every game, we're not going to let that little piece slither by. With the eyeball test and the eye test, you can see who was the better quarterback. You could see it. But when Zeke wasn't there, it assured it. It assured what we all already knew. You know, Dak Prescott is the first quarterback since Troy Aikman who didn't throw for a touchdown pass and multiple interceptions in consecutive games. That's trash. That's like I come out there and I throw 2 interceptions without a touchdown pass. That's already a bad game. Then I do it the next week. That shit you should get benched for. Oh, and look what Troy Aikman and Dak Prescott also have in common. They had great running backs. I'll say it again since people say I repeat myself too much. They had great running backs. Dak Prescott never threw for 25 touchdown passes in a season. That's average. This ain't the 60s, man. This ain't the 60s. Good quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks can give you 30 touchdown passes in a season. Elite quarterbacks can do that. I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes when it comes down to the game, it's on the quarterback to make it happen. That's why they make this type of money that they make. How dare this man ask for $30 million? How dare he? Since they want to compare my quarterback to this guy, and mind you this, they only doing it because they watch these YouTube videos, because that's the hot topic. They see what's hot on the streets, and then they report about it. I've been saying this, man. They see what's hot on the streets, and they report about it, and we hot. We the only thing to talk about. When you type in Philadelphia Eagles, you're going to see an EDP video. You're going to see an E-Rock video. You're going to see a Philly 500 video. You're going to see a Lord Brunson video. You know why? You're going to see a Desert Eagle 90 video. Might got to scroll down a little further, but you're going to see those names I just mentioned. Because we embody the culture. Point blank, period. We embody the culture. We spark the ideas for these guys to come up with these debates. We the only ones talking about Wentz versus Dak. Because we want to let y'all know that we got the best quarterback in the division. Nobody in the world will right now open their mouth and say Dak Prescott better than Carson Wentz. So they got to reach and say, oh, he may have better upside. You've seen everything you needed to see. Everything. He gave you 3 full seasons. 1 number 1 seed. But listen, he gave you 3 full seasons. 2 of those seasons, he had the league leading rusher. See, they don't want to talk about that. Do you know how easy it is to run the ball? Do you know how easy it is, to execute passing plays when you're already getting 5, 4, 6 yards on 1st and 10? Do you know how easy it is to do that? Dude is a dink and dunk, can't throw an accurate pass. He ain't better than Carson Wentz. He don't have a better upside than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz showed you what the upside could be, and that is of an MVP caliber. Has Dak Prescott ever put together an MVP caliber season? No. So how can he have a better upside? Y'all like the pieces that's being put around him? Y'all like the pieces that's being put around Dak? Jason Witten? Seriously? Jason Witten? This man asking for $30 million. Amari Cooper won 16. Them Odell Beckham numbers a year. That's Odell Beckham check. Don't compare our guy to y'all guy. Y'all got to stop doing that because there's no comparison, man. There's no comparison. He garbage without Zeke. He's garbage without Zeke. That's the bottom line. Dude ain't good without Zeke. That's the end of the discussion. We're not even going to talk about that no more. We're not going to talk about that no more. Dak Prescott is nowhere near better than Carson Wentz. Until that man have an MVP caliber season, until he contribute to a Super Bowl, whether you want to believe it or not, we don't win a Super Bowl if Carson Wentz don't start those games in the beginning. Whether you want to believe it or not. Up until the Minnesota Vikings game, Nick Foles was playing like some cut. You don't win a Super Bowl or get the number 1 seed without Carson Wentz. He contributed to it. What happened when y'all guy had the number 1 seed? Aaron Rodgers got him out of here.